The last time I saw you when we were in Kigali, you said you woke up that morning and there was a coup in Gabon. And when you look at the coups that are happening, what do you feel is driving? I know each one of these is different in its own way, but what do you think the primary drivers of this political instability are?
For me, it's very simple. And well, it stems from the fact that the world doesn't learn lessons. As you see, people don't even learn lessons about what happened in our country. What is happening across the countries where coups have been taking place, people should be asking themselves, are these coups just happening, or they're happening for a reason? And that is something that maybe has been ignored in the past for many years and hasn't been addressed. And that is really, what do you do for the development of these societies in these countries? And people have come to take it for granted that Africa is poor and therefore it must remain as such, which is not true, because Africa is actually very rich, both in terms of natural resources, human capital, you can name it. I don't think there is any geographical space in this world that is so endowed with such things to build on as Africa. But in the end, it comes down to governance. How is Africa governed? How do countries govern themselves? And how, if they are doing that, are putting their people at the center of everything that is being done. So in the end, when you see a coup happening and ordinary people move onto the street and are happy and jubilating because of that, it tells you something. It's not just a coup that people should look at and say, well, this is the beginning, this is the end. There is that story behind. But there is another question that must be raised. All of these, for example, developed countries who are heavily present in every country on our continent, doing all kinds of things, teaching people democracy, human rights, freedoms. Then in the end, exploiting natural resources of the continent, making a lot of money, whether it is through companies or whatever is taking place. Sometimes countries, are playing their part directly in this exploitation of these natural resources that should have brought wealth to our countries. So one would ask, so why are you there for 50 years and you are doing all kinds of things, business, all kinds of transactions? For you, you get better for it, but the people of countries where you are doing it remain impoverished, if not even getting worse. So this is a question that...
Is that to the French? Is that to the Belgians? Is that to the Americans? Is it the Chinese?
All of them, absolutely. Why? Why would you be doing things worth billions, tens of billions of dollars?
Do you think there's a kind of neo-colonialism going on now in Africa?
I think there is just total confusion. From the beginning, I think colonialism never ended, really. It just changed forms. But I can't also blame others just for it. I think we need to take responsibility ourselves as Africans. Why do we accept such things to happen? Why do we have almost everything and that works to benefit others more than we benefit from them? There are different ways of correcting that. Why don't we do that? Sometimes you may complain or you may blame the exploiter, but even the exploited should be blamed, because
I mean, you've been saying that message for a long time. You were chair of the African Union, and you were talking about picking ourselves, meaning African nations, up by our bootstraps, not being dependent, best in promising practices.
Yeah.
But when you look at the African Union and you look at its inability to stop some of these coups and to kind of look at this broad challenge of the ongoing relationship with the West and China that's just complicated, why is the African Union not more effective?
Well, the African Union is not more effective simply because the countries that make up this African Union, ourselves, we have a problem.